over 3,000. There I am. Now I'm on. To run from 180 to moving about 3,000 people. And so I understand small church, middle-sized church, and large church. God gave me the opportunity to be in that. Like Brother Bob said, I played music for Rod Parsley for a couple of years and traveled there when I went to Bible college there, and then later on went and finished my degree in leadership, my master's degree in leadership through Ohio Christian University. So I say all that not to say, look at me. I say that to say I've been blessed and honored, and God has given me great opportunities to be around great men and women that have taught me so much, that's poured into my life, that has stretched me, that has pulled me, that has made me do things I didn't want to do, even though I should have been doing it. And I'm so thankful for those mentors and those people in my life. And I'm so honored to do this today. I never take it lightly when I get to stand in front of leaders to speak to you, because in this room right now, collectively, there are thousands of people that we get to influence and touch and minister to and come in contact just sitting in this room collectively. And that's important. That's important. We're all sitting in chairs in a room because some leadership one day said, I believe in the future. And then we're all getting to participate right now in this room because somebody's vision, somebody's willing to work, somebody willing to sow into something they knew they wouldn't even get to sit under. And we're all being able to do that today, and that's something. And so I take this honor and privilege to be here today and just share with you some concepts, share with you. We're going to do a first session. I only got about 6 hours to do this, so I'm kidding. But I do want to take this first session, and we'll take a break in between the sessions, and then we'll break for lunch and come back, and we'll finish up what I feel that God has put on my heart. But today I want to talk to you. A lot of times people don't realize, I know we're in the room here, and I asked who's pastors, who ministers, who works and wants to grow. But oftentimes I've found in life that people don't realize and they don't associate with themselves as being a leader. Most people don't. You know, I know those pastors in the room, people that's been in this for a minute, you understand what I believe the concept of leadership is. But a lot of times people don't think of themselves as leaders. And I love what John Maxwell says. It's very simple. Leadership is simply influence. And one way or another, whether you're standing on a stage preaching or in an office room at work, or if it's your home, you are influencing someone, and leadership is important. Ministry, the gospel was built upon not only Jesus and what he has done, but it was given to leaders to move things forward. And leadership is something that all of us, whether you've ever called yourself a leader or not, it is something that is a responsibility that we all can do and grow in. And so I just want to give you, those in the room that maybe have never said this to yourself, but I want you to say, I am a leader. Can y'all repeat that with me? I want you to go ahead and just get that, any thought, any question mark in your head. Well, I'm not a leader, I just help out. No, today I want you to confess that I am a leader. Go ahead and say it. And the reason why I ask you to do that is because, one, it puts responsibility back on you now. It's our responsibility to lead others, influence others, whether that's through our witness as Christians or whether that's us leading organizations or leading people. It's our responsibility. John Maxwell again says this quote, everything rises and falls on leadership. Leadership. It's important. The world functions when people choose to lead. Your church will function the correct way when people choose to lead. When your leaders, as you as a leader, choose to lead. And it's important. So today I want to speak to you simply on seeing what others can't. Somebody say, seeing what others can't. Leading through two lenses. You know, leadership has never been about seeing what everybody else already sees. Okay? You ever seen those commercials that came out a while back? Captain Obvious. You know, usually your biggest complainers are Captain Obvious. Right? The sound sounds bad today. Well, yeah, we heard it. We get it. So what? So what are we going to do about it? So leadership has never been about seeing what everybody else can see. It's about seeing what others can't see. Let me say it a different way. It might be about seeing what others choose not to see. Some leaders get stuck staring at what's always right in front of them, and others get lost gazing so far ahead they miss what's happening in the present. But the leaders who make the greatest impact know this: you cannot lead with blurry focus. Can't lead with blurry focus. A few years back, I actually got LASIK surgery. Anybody have LASIK surgery? I got LASIK surgery, and I wore glasses my whole life as a child growing up, and I was probably 30, 32 years old, I think, when I got LASIK surgery. And so I've had it about 10 to 12 years. And I remember, if I didn't have my contacts or my glasses on, I wouldn't have been able to read this far away from me. And I remember after I got it done, I encourage you, if you're thinking about getting that, don't go on YouTube and watch the videos of how they do it. It'll just freak you out. Don't do it. But literally what they do is they take a laser and put it over your eye. They pull your eye open. The procedure lasts like 15 seconds. It's crazy. I spent 20-something years of not seeing, and in 15 seconds, my life changed. And so what they do is they throw a laser on your eye, and they pop your eye lens off. And then they fold it. And then they laser it back down. Okay? And literally. Now, it's fuzzy for a couple of days, and then all of a sudden it heals right up, and you just wake up and, you can see through walls. I'm just kidding. But it was remarkable. And I remember the morning I opened my eyes. I think the next morning after the surgery, it was just cloudy, just a little bit on the edges of my eye. I remember it was 6:33. You know why I know it was 6:33 in the morning when I woke up? Because I looked across the room where our clock was, a digital clock, and I went, it's 6:33. I wouldn't have known there was a clock there if I didn't have glasses on. And it was boom, clarity, clear, vision. I could see. It was remarkable. It is very, very cool. It's very, very cool, even to this day. See, that's leadership. It's when you use the right lens, clarity comes. The right lens will give you the ability to see what you need to see. When you're without the right lens, things get cloudy. They get blurry. But when you see right lens at the right time, you see with clarity, and you see what others can't see. God has given us more than one lens of leadership to look through. Most leaders only use one lens when it comes to what they look through. And today I want to expose a little bit of those two lenses. And the strength of a leader can be found in knowing how to use those lenses. Again, this is just not leading an organization. This is your family. This is your finances, your health, your spiritual life, being a leader over a church ministry, pastoring your church. It's looking through the right lenses. Most leaders only use one lens to look at their life and their ministry and everything. And it's usually based a little bit more on their personality. It's more based on how they see life. But mature leadership is knowing what lenses, what tools that you have, and knowing when to use them. Let me give you this. There's two reasons why things are small. Okay? Two reasons why things are small. One, they are small. I know that's real deep, right? They're small. Second thing is they're far away. They're far away. There's two reasons why they're small. They are small and they're far away. The only way to bring more clarity to what is small and far away is using the right lens to magnify them. The most effective leaders see what others don't. They have the ability to zoom in on the critical details and the capacity to zoom out to see the bigger picture. Great leadership isn't about choosing between the here and the now or the long term or the future. It's about mastering both lenses that you look through. It's mastering both. So my purpose today is we're going to explore how leadership works through both of these lenses. When we apply both the microscope and the telescope view of our life, we'll align our leadership with principles that have eternal impact. I really believe that God himself gives us these lenses in his word He calls us to examine ourselves closely in Lamentations. And in Psalms 26, it's that microscope. He said, examine my heart, O God. See what's wrong with me. I'm paraphrasing that we may work this out. And then there's the telescope when he says that we lift our eyes to his promise. In Philippians 1:6. See, this is what I want to tell you. Vision is not invented by man. I believe it's revealed by God. It's revealed by God. Vision is something that should come with a weight. A W-E-I-G-H-T. It's heavy. It's a burden. True vision of God is not something that you just think up in a boardroom somewhere and, hey, this is a good idea. Let's go towards this vision. True vision has a heaviness to it. It has a weight to it. There's a burden that comes with vision. There's a burden that comes with vision. And then there's also a weight. W-A-I-T. Did I spell that right? Yeah, okay. There's a weight that comes with vision. Some things are just going to take time. Some things are just going to take process. We don't like that word in the church, do we? There's just going to be a process to what God has put a burden on you for. Now hear me. This ain't just talking about leading a church, which is very much talking about leading a church. This isn't just talking about leading a business. It's very much talking about leading a business. But how much burden have you been given for your own family? There's a weight, and then there's a weight. There's a weight. It takes time. It takes time. So today I first want to talk about the telescopic lens. Somebody say telescope. Zoom out. Somebody say zoom out. This is how I teach, so we're just going to make you talk back to me. Is that okay? I like it till you are energetic. I go to some churches and they don't talk back, and it just makes me look weird. All right. Dream big and pray bigger. Amen? This is the exciting one. Everybody likes this subject, the telescope. I'll raise the hands. Who here is more naturally a vision person? Okay, all right. So those that didn't raise your hand, I want you to listen deep. Because these guys that are a bit more vision people, they're going to be like, yeah. Don't worry. We'll get on them next section, okay? A leader that leads with a telescope lens is a dynamic force. They're big dreamers. They got big ideas. See, the purpose of a telescope is this. We know this, right? Telescope. I don't necessarily see the one in outer space, which is the same concept. What I see is as a captain on a ship. And they pull out that little, what is it? It's not called a telescope. It's called there you go, periscope. But that's what I see in my head every time I've taught this, that they're looking for the destination. They're looking for the destination. It's to take things that are far away and to bring them closer into view. It takes things that are distant future and brings them into a present focus. That captain looking out and goes, ahoy, land, ho. As leaders, we have to be leaders that are able to take what looks so far away and bring it to the present. It's important as you lead your churches, as you lead your businesses, as you lead your families, your ministries, that you are not just someone that is just out here looking and say, I don't know where we're going, we're just going to have fun doing it. There's seasons for that. Sometimes you just don't know. But as a leader, someone that masters the lens of a telescope, to be able to take something that seems so far away and it looks impossible, but able to bring it and draw it into the present, saying, this is what God has for us. This is what we want for our family. This is what we want for our ministry. This is what we want for our business. This is what we want for this community. Being a master of taking the big things and bringing them in closer. They let you see what's coming long before you ever get there. I've talked to and coached pastors and business leaders so much on this is more than just being exciting, okay? Being masterful at creating vision, vision inspires people. You can watch a good movie. Anybody remembers the movie Remember the Titans? It came out, Denzel Washington and football coach. And man, when you get to the certain parts of that movie, you're like, yeah, I want that. That's vision. That's vision. And it inspires it, it promotes, it pushes. And we as leaders have to be gifted and hone our gift and practice our gift to be telescopic leaders. It pulls tomorrow's promises into today's perspective. See, telescopic leaders make statements like this. You ready? God, I know you're doing something bigger than what I'm experiencing now. They make statements like this. Our focus is on where God is taking us, not where we've been. That's a telescopic leader. They make statements like, the future is too important to leave by chance. Let's shape it together. In the Bible, they sounded like this. We will march around these walls with praise until we see these babies coming down. It sounds like you come to me with a sword and shield, but I come to you in the name of the Lord. It says, I press towards the mark of the high calling of Jesus Christ our Lord. A telescopic leader. For the joy that was set where? Not behind, but before him, he did what? He endured. Telescopic leadership's important. Our ministries will not grow. Our family will not be healthy. Our businesses will not succeed to the success that we want it to be if we do not become telescopic leaders. Looking for the future and drawing the future to our present. It's important for you to live a life that is telescopic. You have to use the lens that God has given us to see what others cannot see. Telescopic leadership is in one word, and I've already said it, vision. Vision. Vision is not just a dream. Vision is clarity. This is who we are, and this is where we're going. This is who we are, this is what we're doing, and this is where we are going. I want to say it again because I know we know it here, but a leader's got to know it in their heart. This is who I am. This is what we're about, and this is where we are going. Vision is not something that we invent in our own minds. A telescope without God's enlightenment is just looking in the dark and hoping for the best. That's not what God's called us to do as leaders. God didn't put you over that church. God didn't put you in that business. God didn't put you where you are in your family just so you can lead in the dark. He's given you a vision. Well, I don't know what it is. That comes with seeking. That comes with burden. That's come saying, God, what have you put me here to do? I never intended to be doing this right here. I didn't sit down and go, oh, this is what I'm going to do one day. But what it did happen is I walked through life for 25 years in ministry. So now God has given me the opportunity that now I get the opportunity and say, you know what, I want to help leaders be who they're supposed to be and have the success that even some of the success I never even got to experience that I had in my heart, but I can help others get there if they just know a little bit more about what they're supposed to do and feel confident that God is with them when they do it. See, vision, real vision is revealed, not imagined. And I said this already, it comes from God's Spirit and His truth. So how do we know it is God's vision? I'm going to give you some, I like saying statements sometimes because I know Brother Bob even said I'm a one-liner king, and I do. I like sticky statements. Because you may not remember my face, but if I say something, you'll remember it. It sticks to you. How do we know it's God's vision? Here it is. When it's God's vision, it doesn't clock out when you do. It follows you to the boardroom to the bedroom, from the pulpit to the pillow. You don't just carry the vision carries you. And even when you try to quit, it won't let you. How do we know it's God's vision? Just like Joseph. A God dream doesn't die in the daylight, it haunts you in the midnight. A man-made vision can be laid down, but a God vision lays hold of you. See, a God vision, it demands an assignment. Let me say that again. God's visions demand an assignment. Now, in my life, my assignments have changed. But it's always going to come with a vision with that assignment. Assignments don't necessarily fade away in the moment of the vision. They intensify until they're complete. So what assignment is God calling you to today? If I ask what is the assignment to every pastor in this room today, every minister in this room today, what is our assignment? I guarantee most of us would say this: share the gospel. That is 100% true. As a believer, not a pastor, our job is to be and share the gospel to people. That is, and I want you to know that's not an assignment. That's God's big vision for you and our life, for this world. That's what we call the Great Commission. It's the Great Commission for every one of us. Go and make disciples, Matthew 28. This is never going to change, no matter if you pastor a church or not. Whether you own a business or work for someone else, whether you have a family or you're just starting out, that's not changing for any of us. If the whole world changes and the whole world shuts down and we're underground church, that's never changing for us. That is the Great Commission. The assignment is God's given specific vision to a specific people for a specific reason. Say that again. The assignment is God's given specific vision to a specific people for a specific reason. It's God's big vision, the Great Commission, tailored to a people, targeted to a place, and timed for a season. It's God's big vision designed for, I'm going to say it 3 different ways. That's why somebody's going to pick up one of them. It's designed for a certain people in a certain place at a certain time. And every one of us in this room here have a specific vision and a specific assignment for our family, for what we do as an income and a living, for what we do in ministry. Something tailored fit for your specific church, for your specific life, for a certain season. You're supposed to do it. See, the Great Commission is the vision of heaven. Your church's specific vision is how heaven's vision looks in your city. How your specific vision looks in your city. The Bible tells us to be salt and light. I want you to know, if your church shut down tomorrow, would your city miss it? We're here just to preach the gospel. Absolutely. I'm not denying any of that. But what is God tailored to your heart for your family? What is God tailored for your business? If you're in this room today, and I know Brother James, I've got a couple of his books. He is a kingdom business mindset. That his kingdom, the business that God has put in his heart, I know he pastored this church for many years too. It is to support the kingdom. And we were at his property last night to witness and to share. If God's put a business in you and you're a business owner in here, there's a specific reason. And it's not just so that you can have. That's all good. I believe that it's business principles are business principles. You can make good money doing the right thing the right way. Okay? But why? I heard a preacher years ago taught me a long time ago, it's not that God can't get money to you, it's can God get money through you? And if you're a business owner here, if you have a desire in your heart to be a business owner in this room today, I want you to know there's a specific reason for it. It's just not so you can have a nice house and a boat. Get you a nice house. Get you a boat. Whatever happens. That's all between you and Jesus. But it's not just for that. There's a tailored vision for you, for his kingdom. Your assignment is how you personally carry out the vision in this season. God's vision for the world is eternal. My assignment is how I live it out in my generation. How am I going to live out what God has specifically put in my heart for now? Vision without assignment, hear me, vision without an assignment is just theory. Assignment without vision is just busy activity. I will, but Miss Beth, I'll say it again. Vision without an assignment is just a theory. Assignment without vision is just activity. We're just having church. I grew up, I love good church. We had a good service last night. But is that all it's about? What has God specifically tailored your church to do in the community? Well, give it to me, Brother Adam. I don't have that answer. But God has given it to you. Are you looking through the right lens? Your assignment is how you direct your energy into a specific part of God's bigger vision. So the telescope lets us see where we're going. And that where we're going is not just the Great Commission. That's God's big vision. Do you see the difference there? You see the distinction there? Yes, we're all called. If there is no title on any one of us in here today, we are called to be part of the Great Commission and tell people about Jesus. That is everybody's job. Everybody that knows Jesus, that's the answer. You have a mission and a vision right there the rest of your life. Whether you get an opportunity to be a leader or not, that is your mission. He is enough. But when God gives us the opportunity to lead others, what assignment has been attached to that? What people are you supposed to be ministering to in your community? What people, what person at your job are you supposed to be influencing to know him and to walk in there? What are you supposed to be teaching your children? What culture are you creating in your home that will be a wildfire that catches on to other people in the community? That's an assignment. In this room, we all understand God's big vision for the world. What we need to be is leaders with a telescopic vision for their personal ministry. The telescope lens is what helps you see the part that you play in God's Great Commission. The telescope looks beyond your current struggles toward a future that aligns with God's big plan. See, I believe that God's plan, the church, big C church, little c church, your individual church, is all part of God's plan A. There is not a plan B. Not a plan B. God designed the church as imperfect as it is because we are imperfect people. That's what God intended. I think that's a little bit of what Paul even said, that the foolishness of preaching, because he knew how imperfect we were going to be. The telescope lets us move past what we struggle with now to see where we're going. It's important that we understand how to use that lens at the right time when we lead. If you can't inspire the people, they won't follow you. If you can't show them what they can't see. I'm a visionary by nature as well, and I got into the rental property game for a while, and I would go buy the most ugliest, tore down. I mean, my wife wouldn't even go in them. She was like, I just can't see what you see in this. And I'm like, and about 7 months later, I'm like, I don't know why I seen this, because it ain't working. until I push through and it does. And your responsibility as a leader is to be able to show people what they cannot see. Can you walk into your church, if it's small or if it's growing or if it's not growing, if it's going through a transition, can you walk in and just go, God, I can see it, and I'm going to help them see it? It is the tool that you need that pushes you through when there doesn't seem to have an answer. You must be a leader with a telescopic vision so you can see the assignment. Leaders with a telescope don't just see what is, they see what could be. Leaders with a telescope refuse to be trapped by the present because they are captured by the future. So why vision matters? Vision is what pulls us forward. It casts a clear, compelling picture for others to see. You show me a church that's dwindling, I'll show you a church that doesn't have vision. You show me a business that's failing, I'll show you a business that more than likely isn't pushing the vision forward to what should be and what could be. It's the difference between leaders who inspire and those who simply manage. Just making it work. I mean, we're keeping the doors open. The lights are still on. Hey, I don't downplay those moments in life. I've had those moments in my life where I've sat down and go, God, I'm just doing what I can. I understand that struggle. But what I do know is this: when God gives us a lens to see things that others cannot see, it's because He's given us something to move through those moments. Well, I'm not the main leader. I want to encourage you. There is something about, as being a leader, that's had people underneath me start saying the vision that I've said at one time before. It inspires other people to get going. You know, right? I got somebody on my team. Remember when they sent out, this ain't even my notes, you remember when they sent out the spies to see? All of them came back but two. And those two are the ones that pushed everybody over into the promised land. You may feel alone right now. Just get linked up with somebody. One can set 1,000 afloat, but two can set 10,000 afloat. There's something about connection to vision that inspires others. Man, I feel the Holy Spirit in that. It is part of who God is. I'm so thankful that He's seen in me what I could not see in myself. I'm so thankful for leaders that seen something in me that I was still struggling to see in my own self. That's what leadership is. That's what vision matters. That's why it matters. It's the difference between leaders who initiate passion and those who enforce compliance. It's the difference between who ignites passion and those who just enforce compliance. Vision is the difference between leaders who shape the future and those who only maintain the present. I hope I'm encouraging you today. I hope that I'm rubbing you a little wrong a little bit too. Because that's what vision does. It challenges what you see. It's the difference. Vision is the difference between leaders who build people and those who build programs. Programs ain't bad. Hear me, we're going to talk a little bit about that next. But it is the difference. Vision is different than building a program. Vision is building people, giving people the power to make a change. The most effective leaders give their people something to believe in, something bigger than themselves. The vision doesn't just guide, hear me, this is my favorite quotes. The vision just doesn't guide the organization. The vision galvanizes it. It doesn't just guide where we're going, it solidifies who we are when we do it. Vision is important. The lens of a telescope is so vital for leadership. This is who we are, and this is where we're going. And this is why we're doing it. A leader's role isn't just to know the whole plan, but it's to hold the vision and trust the one who began it. The one who began it, he will finish it. I always look at it as like, I call it the God's alphabet, all right? This is me talking. I look at it, it's when God sets something inside of you. I think of Joseph in the Bible, right? God speaks to him as a teenager sitting in his daddy's house, the youngest of all the other kids, the more favorable one. Everybody's like, oh, that's the little, I'm having 3 kids. There's a difference in every one of my children. I see the difference. I see how they act. I see how they respond. I can just imagine a little bit in Joseph's younger years how he acted. But God will give you in his alphabet. He'll start you at A and he'll give you Z. It's the B and Y that's usually the issue. The by the way. He'll give you at A, he'll show you Z. Brother Bob talked about it last night in his tent. That you've seen a vision, and now you're handing that over. It's the B, the Y. It's by the way of all the years of going and setting up and hammering stakes in the ground and preaching till your guts are out and getting rejected and getting accepted and everything that comes in between that. That's what he don't want to share with you and I, because if you've seen that, Brother Bob, would you have done it? Come on. If it had showed you who you're going to have to lose to get to that, you probably wouldn't do it. If he's shown you what you had to give up, you're probably like, no, he didn't show Joseph he was going to be thrown in the pit. He didn't show Joseph he was going to be put in a Potiphar's house and accused of something he never did and sitting in a prison. But God's vision came to pass because he kept saying and trusting and believing it. It's by the way, the process. If you're a second chair leader, if you don't know what I mean by that, anybody that helps in a ministry or in a business that maybe you're not the pastor but you're somewhere in the organization leadership, I want to talk to you for a minute. I call them second chair leadership. Because it's not second chair, you're just the helper, I just run the kids ministry, no, you're a leader. Matter of fact, if you're anybody on the worship team in here that stand on a stage and sing or play, anybody know those? Okay. Yes, that's right. Anytime you raise yourself up on a platform, you put a bullseye on your back, whether you agreed to it or not. Anytime you put yourself in front of other people, there's a bullseye on you. There's an expectation. There's a responsibility that comes with that. So let me talk to those second chair leaders for a second. Let me encourage you. Your leadership doesn't know the whole plan. Your responsibility isn't to know the whole vision of the church. That's the pastor's job. And I found being on a second chair leadership, I was an executive pastor for that church that grew for about 9 years and was a campus pastor for a moment. And again, being a pastor's kid, you just know things that other people just don't know. You see the burden when they come home. You see the tears when people leave. You see they have to have the tough conversations and it just you just know it. And your responsibility as a second chair leader is not to ever know the full vision. Your responsibility is to take hold of the part of the vision that they've given you and do it with excellence. The past 10 years, I've been doing this and traveling and helping and coaching. I preach. I lead worship at churches. That's my heart. What God has assigned me to do now is just help pastors and coaches and business leaders and pastors. And something that I hear pastors say often, I've heard this often, big church, little church. Talked to a pastor just recently, 5,000 members, okay, 6 campuses. And he told me the same thing I've heard other pastors say, if I share my vision, they won't be able to handle it. Talking to everybody else. Talking about staff, talking about volunteer staff. If I share my big vision, I don't think they're going to handle it. They're going to think I'm crazy. They're going to look at all the negatives of it. I want to encourage you as second chair leaders. Can they trust you with the vision? Can they trust you? It's so easy. Now there's lots of factors that play in this. Is the vision clear? Has clarity been established? Have they spoken to the level that it needs to? And if you have questions about it yourself, then go ask questions to your pastor. Amen? It's not just their responsibility to speak to you, it's your responsibility to ask good questions. I've gotten more wisdom out of asking good questions, not creating assumptions. Assumptions are like armpits. If you don't deal with them all, and at a certain amount of time, they start to stink and ruin everybody's day. Okay? So get rid of the assumptions. Well, I don't know what we're supposed to do. I guess this is what we're supposed to do. Well, then go ask. It's that simple. Ask. And don't ask, well, what are we supposed to do, preacher? No, that's not what you say. You say, Pastor, how can I effectively do this better for you? Am I missing something, Pastor, that I'm just not picking up what you're putting down? Ask good questions. Ask questions like you would want to be asked if you were leading something. Be a servant and help others' vision come to pass. And hear me, I feel this for my own life. This is not a quote I got off of TikTok. Be a servant and help others' vision come to pass, and God will help yours. I'm living proof of it. God will help yours. See, vision should be intimidating, but not impossible. Say it again. It should intimidate you. It should intimidate your soul or your family. You mean my family could actually be this? You mean my marriage could actually be this? You mean our ministry, the kids ministry could actually do this? Our worship ministry could actually, yes. Yes, if it's God's vision. If it's God's vision. If your vision doesn't scare you, is it really a God-purposed vision? Jeremiah said it like this. He said, it's fire shut up in my bones. Paul said, woe to me if I do not preach. Habakkuk said, write the vision, make it plain. God vision is something that refuses to stay in your head. So let me give you a few more things. What I think hinders telescopic leadership. Telescopic leadership. Everybody, y'all getting something out of this? Is this good for a Saturday morning? This is what hinders telescopic leadership. Some of this is geared to the specific leader, and some of this is geared to all of us that are helping. One of the things that hinders telescopic leadership, I would call these are barriers. Barriers is immediate pressure from daily operations. That's why I can't get to the gym consistently. Immediate pressure from daily operations. Leaders get caught up in the daily grind, the fighting the fires, the putting out the fires, because some of the staff are starting the fires, managing duties, maintaining seamless operations. This prioritizes short-term gains over long-term growth. See, short-term leaders fail to invest in vision because they focus on immediate goals. Hear me. When the urgent, hear this is a good one. When the urgent always trumps the important, this will make it impossible to see the big picture. Come on, leader. Come on, business owner. Come on, pastor. When the urgent always, I'm not saying things are important that are urgent aren't important, but when the urgent always trump the important, this will make it impossible for you to lead with vision. Not that they don't need to be handled. Urgent things are important. I want you to understand most urgent things are important. Just because it's urgent to them doesn't mean it's urgent to you. But if it's all we do is concentrate on the urgent things, then it's time for us to delegate and create better systems. Long-term vision falls and fails under short-sighted leaders. Let me say it again. Long-term vision fails under short-sighted leaders. The first thing is immediate pressure from daily operations. The second thing I think that affects the telescopic leadership in your life is the lack of clarity or confidence. Sometimes we just don't know what we're supposed to do. And as a leader, it is your responsibility to seek and find. Here's the thing. God is not playing hide and go seek and he's hiding out in the middle of the atmosphere somewhere and you just got to hopefully you get him. You ever played, with my 4-year-old, I play hide and go seek differently than with my 15-year-old, right? Right? I'm hiding behind a curtain that's sticking out 15 feet from the window with my feet hanging out when I'm playing with my 4-year-old. That's what I believe God does. That's how he plays. Seek me. Can you find me? Where's Waldo? When we seek, he wants us to find him. He wants us to find him. And you have to have clarity and you have to seek for it. Leaders that are unsure about their goals struggle with vision. Without a clear vision, it's hard to inspire and unite others. Self-doubt and fear of failure makes leaders who are reactive rather than proactive. Self-doubt and fear of failure make leaders who are reactive rather than proactive. We have to have clarity as leaders. It doesn't mean you know everything. You just need to know where you're going. You might not have every detail, but there's a few ways from here to get to is it Highway 80 that's around here, right? There's a few ways you can get there. But what you can't do is not, if your destination is getting back home where I'm from in Ohio, I have to get on 80 to do it. I might not know all the small routes to get there, but I know if I can get on 80, I can get to my destination. Does that make sense? Clarity. I know I have a clear path. Get on 80. It's going to give me signs to get to Ohio. What clarity does. That's what confidence does. Confidence. The word confidence literally is 2 words broke down. Con, which means with, and fidence is the second word. Fidence, which means faith. You thought confidence meant knowing it all. It just means with faith. I have clarity with faith. I believe God will. I believe God can, and I believe God is. That's clarity. The third thing I think that distracts us from telescopic leadership, this one's going to hurt a little bit. Y'all ready? Micromanagement. The smaller your organization is, the greater the excuse to micromanage. Micromanagement will rob you of vision. Leaders lose sight of the big picture when they micromanage. Micromanagement drowns people in daily decisions, limiting visionary thinking. Craig Rochelle, if you ever heard of Craig Rochelle, he pastors a little tiny church called Life Church of about 90,000 people. And has campuses all over the U.S. and the world. And he said he used to say, if my leadership will do 80% of how I would do it, then let them do it. Now he says 50%. If they will just do half of how I would do it, let them go. Let them walk out their path. Let them lead them well, still be involved, still make sure it's getting done, but just let them go. Let them run the ministry how they know they can do it. If they can do it at least 50% as good as you can, then let them run. Guide them and direct them. Micromanagement will limit your vision. Number 4. This is the one every leader has faced in life. We face it in our personal life sometimes, but it's definitely we have faced this when we go to make change, and it is resistance to change. That will limit your vision. resistance to change. Vision casting requires risk-taking and transformation. It requires you to take some risks. Brother Bob, you took some risks this past year over KFI. Business leader James, have you ever took some risks for your businesses? Pastors, have you took some risk in your life? It takes risk, and the resistance to change can limit that. Leaders who dislike change or leaders that have resistive teams avoid a forward-looking vision because they're preferring, hear me, the familiar. T.D. Jakes made this statement years ago. He said, old friends are like old shoes. They're familiar and comfortable, but they won't take you far. Anytime you're in a season of new, the natural tendency, hear me, anytime you're in a season of new with your family, with your children, with your business, with your church, with your own personal life, anytime you're in a season of new, the natural tendency is to go back to what is familiar. I'm so thankful for my heritage. I'm so thankful for the moves of God in my life. I'm so thankful that I remember going into my mom and dad's church when nobody was there and weeping and crying at an altar and feeling the presence of God. Those are statues. Those are pillars that I have marked in my life. But that will not satisfy me anymore. Notice, this is off topic, so just let me go. You ready? Notice the Bible in Matthew 6:33, which is the crux of the whole chapter of chapter 6 of Matthew. It says, first seek the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all the stuff you've been worrying about. When he says right previous to that, 7 different times, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. He said, will be added to you. Then he jumps back even before that. It's a direct tie. I'm going fast. Just hold on with me. It's a direct connection to the Lord's Prayer. He says, our Father, same chapter, our Father who is in heaven, holy is your name. Do what? Let your first seek, let your kingdom come, let your will be done, his righteousness. And then he says what? Give us this day our daily bread. The people that were listening that were Jewish in that moment would have recognized what he meant by that very, very visually, because that is a direct tie to Exodus. What did God give the people every day on their journey? Manna. And what was the instruction for manna at the end of the day? Don't save it. Why? Because I will give you fresh bread every day. Yesterday's experience will not satisfy today's calling in your life. It is the purpose of God to give you a fresh anointing, a fresh vision, a fresh purpose, a fresh excitement, a fresh goal, a fresh move today. That's how God intended it, so that you would seek him first and he would send manna for today. But you can't do that when you resist change. When you resist change. This isn't new. Saul resisted God's vision and clung on to what was familiar. Nehemiah, on the other hand, embraced God's vision, rebuilt a wall brick by brick, and restored a nation. One lost a kingdom, and the other restored a nation. Because they were willing to not resist what had to change. See, when God does a new thing, you don't need a map. You need a compass. When God does something new in your ministry, in your business, and in your life, you don't need a map of what has been the trail before. You need a compass. Where's due north? Where's it at? Where's due north? And notice that the compass didn't create north. North created the compass. Right? It follows wherever north is. It's the telescope. Where's north? Where are we going? Where's the compass that I'm looking for? Where's the vision God has for my family? Where's the vision God has for our church? I might not get all the answers up front. I might only get A, and there's Z. The B and the Y I've got to work through. But I know where we're going. Philippians 1:6, he who began a good work in you will carry it out to completion. Be encouraged in that today. The only thing between your vision and God's promise is confidence. The only difference, the only thing that is dividing you, the vision God has put in you and his promise, is your confidence. I already told you what it meant, that he's going to accomplish it. The bridge between here and there is simply your confidence in his willingness to give you daily bread to do it. It's easier to preach. That's why we know this. I believe I'm in a room, people know this. That's why your devotion is more important than how good you preach. Your communion with him, your oneness, it's this transunion, this I become more like him, he becomes a part of me, and you can't tell the difference. This is what I think union is, all right? Put your hands together and do this. That's what union looks like with God. I can't tell which hand's left and right, which fingers, which goes to what. It's just we're all together one. That's why your devotion matters, because it gives you the confidence when everybody else is saying no. It gives you the confidence when you don't have all the answers. It gives you the confidence because you know where due north is. That is where we're going. I trust you, Jesus, even if it feels wrong now. Vision carries me through when my plans fail. Oh, come on. Vision is what gives you hope when your plans get heavy. Vision is the inspiration in the middle of your desperation. I would wager that every one of us in this room are here because of someone else's telescopic leadership in our life. They saw in us what we could not see in ourselves. Your vision, this is how I would say this in the South, your vision ain't just for you. If it dies with you, it wasn't a vision, it was a daydream. Leaders don't hoard the vision, they hand it off. Leaders don't hoard the vision, they hand it off. They hand it off. It is your responsibility as a leader to hand the vision. And that's easier, I think, sometimes for us, those that have been in ministry or business, that we do that at the business level, but you should be doing that in your home. This is who we are, this is how we act, and this is where we're going. I tell my children often, hey, the Drinkards don't act like that. Drinkers don't quit. I didn't say drinkers, I said Drinkards. It's my last name. We're resilient in this house. We don't give up in this house. We don't turn our back on each other in this house. Come on, we don't let culture dictate what God has called us in this house. We hand off the vision and give them an opportunity to carry it. So here's some questions, and I'm getting ready to close this first session. We're right about an hour. Pastor, leader, business owner, do you trust your team enough to hand off the vision? If not, it's time to clarify and train. Notice, I didn't leave you empty-handed there. You're not stuck. That's the lie of the enemy. That's what stops you in vision. I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. You can always clarify. You can always train. You can always clarify. This is who we are. This is what we're about. And this is where we're going. And this is why we're doing it. Who, what, where, why. We learned that in school, didn't we? Time to train. Second chair leaders, those that help. The question I want to ask you, are you willing to grow and nurture the vision your leader has for you? Do you realize that, we talk about, especially in this culture of churches that I believe I'm around, we talk about spiritual sonship and daughtership, right? A lot. Some churches don't really call it that. That, like, who's your spiritual father? Who's your spiritual mother, all right? Do you realize that's just saying who is the leader of influence in your life? Okay? Sometimes we like to over-spiritualize it, and I get why. Because it is something powerful in connectedness. But really, it's who do you, hear me, who do you allow to influence your life? Who have you given permission to? I want you to know when you do, if you come up to your pastor, pastor, teach me your ways, whatever you think, whatever you, I need you to know that what you're actually asking them to do is get in your business when you don't want them to. And you have to give people, there are people in my life that I have offered and said, if you want to correct me, even if I disagree with it. I'm not saying it's this shepherding thing where you can't make your own decision. There's always extremes to every scenario. But there are certain people that I have given the ability to tell me what I need, even if I don't like it. And when you ask your leader to be a leader in your life, what you're asking is, I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to obey, even when I don't like it. You have to give people that right. Any leader that demands it out of you ain't a leader. I was going to go somewhere there. I'll just keep it to myself. The question I ask you, are you willing to grow and nurture the vision that the leader has for you and for the ministry or wherever, if it's business? Hear me, if you're an employer in here and maybe you don't like, maybe your boss, your manager, they ain't a Christian. I understand there's conflicts in those perspectives, but you have to understand when we forgot this, and especially younger crowds, like my age, younger. I'm a millennial. I'm an old millennial, but I'm still in that millennial age, and even younger. It's almost like they expect the business to do more for them than what they should do for the business. And when you join a business and you go work for people, yes, they make an agreement with you, right? It's called a paycheck. You do this, we'll give you this. But this is the thing. You don't bring your idea into a business and try to change. I can't work for Burger King and wear a Burger King outfit at McDonald's. Because it don't make sense to the vision. It don't make sense to the culture, right? And sometimes we forget that. So when you become part of a church, you're saying, I'm willing to listen to what God has given you, and I'm coming in agreement with it. To follow the vision God gave you. It's not that you are God. It's not that you are the voice of God for my life. It's just I'm willing to agree to the vision that God has put in you, that it should be part of my vision of a burden I get to carry. All right? Instead of getting mad and splitting the church over carpet color. Right? That wasn't in my note. It's lining up under leadership and saying, I'm willing to help the vision that God has given you. Because here's the thing, if you're going to argue with a pastor in a church, go start your own church. I promise you, you'll change the way you act to people when they start acting like that to you. What did I say earlier? Help somebody else's vision come to pass, and God will bring your vision to pass. That ain't just in church, guys. Help a business. I promise you right now, if I went and worked for Brother James right now and I helped him get to the next level in his business, he will give me whatever I will ask for eventually. Right? Help your children become the men and women of God they're supposed to be. They will take care of you the rest of their life. Same concept. Philippians 1:6, he who began to work in you will carry it out to completion. As I close with this, and we'll take a break, and we'll jump into the next part where everybody else can point the other finger around to the other people. Get it? It is God's responsibility to bring the finish. It is my responsibility. Say it. It is my responsibility to furnish the faith. It's God's responsibility to bring the finish. It's our responsibility as leaders to furnish the faith. Let's learn to lead and see what others can't and use the telescope to see the vision, make it clear, and give it away to people and let them help move the church forward. Amen? Amen. Amen. All right. Hope you got something good out of that. If not, just complain to Brother Bob. Let's take, we're at 11:45. Let's take a 10-ish minute break if you want. We'll be back here. We'll call everybody when it's time to get started. Just take about 10 minutes, get you some water, go to the restroom, whatever you're going to do, and we'll jump into our next lens.